Welcome into the Leaf Hour on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandale, Jake the Snake Schultz with you for the next 2 hours as we got half a dozen games on tap tonight, including the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Toronto Marlies.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that.
Did you?
I did.
You know me so well.
I do. I knew you were going to say that. Anyways.
And why did I say that, Sammy?
Well, because it's the Marlies. The bottom six is the Marlies, basically.
Yeah. We got some serious changes tonight. Domi now out to go with the other centers.
Okay, they're dropping like flies right now.
And it feels like no one is like, they're not saying anyone's injured. Everyone has like precautionary and something's nagging them and they're just going to give it some rest. So Domi's been moved to IR. David Kampf to IR as well. Long-term IR.
LTIR.
So he can't be back until mid-December.
December 14th against the Red Wings.
So, yeah.
That's some serious wear and tear.
Yeah.
And 20 games into the regular season.
This point you had about a hard training camp, it had some weight to it.
Yeah.
Some value to that point.
Yeah. You know, once in a while you're right about stuff, and that one seems to be pretty right because they
First
are
time this week I've been right.
Nailed that one.
We'll see.
So tonight the lineup looks like McMahon up with Tavares and Marner. Pontus Holmberg is going to center Nylander and Nyes. And then a third line of Nick Robertson, Fraser Minton, Nikita Grabenkin.
Yep, that's an AHL line.
That's an actual AHL line. Connor Dewar, Steven Lorentz, and Alexander Steeves on the fourth line.
Yesterday we had our good
Vegas
buddy
is
Jason
good.
Bukala talk a lot about Minton.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some sense that there's some value that you're going to pick up right away. With Nikita Grabenkin, we're not really sure. We do know that he's somewhat of a fiery type of guy. He
Hooks
can
liked him.
play the body, and he had a good training camp to the point where I think Craig Berube really singled him out as being this somewhat infectious kind of personality guy.
Yeah. I mean, in preseason, he got in a fight and he gave it to the crowd, gave him the business, like he was feeling himself a little bit. I will say one nice thing about this prospect for the Leafs is he is 6'2",
Yes.
210, and 21 years
Yeah.
old.
And
that's nice.
And he can play rough. He doesn't mind mixing it up, and I think he's got a real shot here at not necessarily becoming an everyday player anytime soon, but he can turn into a bit of a fan favorite, I think, moving forward.
And in 13 games, the Marlies got 10 points, 4 goals, 6 assists.
And it's tough to get points in the American League.
0 PIMs.
0 PIMs.
Yeah, 0 PIMs.
That's staggering considering his preseason run here.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on guys coming up? Let's say early. Like this is earlier than they wanted to go to it. Do you want to first hear what Tree had to say? So this is about Minton from Brad Tree Living.
It's from yesterday.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I would have preferred to leave him for a little bit longer, just to stabilize. I think you got to be careful, especially with young guys bumping them up and down. He's coming off the injury. But he's had a great start. He's a smart player. I mean, what jumps out, is just his hockey IQ. He's he talks on the bench like a coach, and you've seen that even in the start that he's had with the Marlies. He's really intelligent, sees the ice, knows the game. Like I said, it's a tough injury to get over. He missed a lot of time, but he's been off to a great start down there. So we'll give him a look-see here, and we think he's got a great future in front of him.
A little look-see.
Yeah, I think he's got a chance here to answer the first question of, if you need a centerman, I'm your guy.
Really? Yeah, you think he has a chance to actually stick?
Well, listen, I mean, it's, again, I'm not an ex-NHL scout like our buddy Books, but I agree with him that it's a long shot and you shouldn't really kind of be leaning or depending on it in a year that you're supposed to compete for the Stanley Cup.
6 injuries, though.
But this is a great opportunity to showcase what, could be a situation no different than some of the young kids that just come along every once in a while and surprise, and you wait for them to falter, and they don't, and then they keep going, and they keep going. Wyatt, I don't think he'll ever be Wyatt Johnson.
Right.
But I don't think when Wyatt Johnson stepped into Dallas, and anyone really thought that he'd stick around that early and be that effective that early.
For sure.
And I'm not comparing him to Minton, but I'm just comparing sometimes you don't count on it and sometimes it just shows up. And I think Minton has had a strong enough start to his pro career, albeit the training camp that he had last year that made noise into the regular season to start. And then coming off this injury where he was again looking pretty good in training camp.
Yeah.
And then it got derailed with the injury, but he goes to the Marlies, picks up where he left off, and now it's like, ooh, pretty good opportunity here.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels early. I think it's interesting that everyone who describes him talks about hockey IQ and intelligence and maturity. So he has a lot of like old guy qualities for a young player, which I think is nice for a Leafs team that I don't think you would say always has the most conscience. Like I think Craig Berube has helped that out, but the team typically not as much. The one thing that like does concern me is he's never had a huge track record of offense. He had a 31-goal season in junior. Would have liked to see him be the man in the American League for a little bit before, because here it's going to be don't worry about scoring, take care, win draws, be on the right side of guys, all that kind of stuff, which is good. But, maybe for his overall development, I mean, they even said themselves they don't love this, but so I'm not sure how I feel about it, Kip. Like, I don't know if I want him to show well and stick for the whole season.
Yeah, if you look, it feels like it's not going to be a short amount of time that he's here, too. If you look at the injury camp,
mid-December. Yeah.
Camp's out to mid-December. Domi just goes on IR. Matthews is still eating, bratwurst right now.
No, he's back. He's on the ice.
Oh, is he?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Triple there?
I'm sure. Let me confirm. I thought David Alter reported that.
Okay. Anyways, so he's back from his tryout with Bayern Munich. So I don't know. I think there's a real opportunity here for Minton to play 4 or 5 or 6 games as like the third line center, fourth line center. Like he's going to be playing a lot. So it's a big chance for him. Like Kippy said, like he could go a long way.
Give him a look-see.
Give him a look-see.
All right, let's go to Craig Berube for our first Kippers Clipper of the show on who exactly is playing center tonight.
Right.
Well, I was thinking about it, but Holmberg will go in the middle. Yeah. And he's played the middle before, and we had him moved around a little bit, so he'll go in the middle tonight.
Why are they so hesitant to try one of the guys?
Because they're like us. They're not really sure.
Right, but you can't get an answer until you find out. Give it a run.
So you're more confident in Holmberg and Minton and Lorentz than you are in William Nylander and Mitch
point.
Marner? It's weird. If there's ever a time, we're talking about it at practice. We got them to make lineup decisions. They're asking about Marner at center. Willie's been, rumored to play center. Why are you doing this?
I guess one of the things is like Marner is playing so well right now.
For sure.
I feel like it's like the one thing they need. Him and Willie playing well is what they need to win games right now. Do they not want to take him out of the rhythm he's in right now?
But
I think
Pontus on the second line is great. Like,
I think
no.
Yeah.
The answer.
I think that's a valid point. They've won 5
of 6 here.
5 of 6 here. Things are going well. There's no reason to come out with any type of major
Panic.
not panic, but major look-see. How's that?
Not for today.
Right? Where it's like a huge eye-opener. Oh, they're going to do this now.
But isn't that a time to do it before you need to do it?
Kipper, half your team's out.
Yeah, but what happens if they pick up where they left off against Edmonton and Washington? Washington's back half of the game, and Tavares and Marner find a way, and Nylander find a way to score another 2
Bobby
points
McMahon's
each.
awesome.
And Minton to your point, doesn't need to score but be on the right side of the puck and doesn't spend a lot of time in his own zone, is feeling comfortable, then just
you're right.
keep calm
You're
and
right.
carry on.
It's the plan.
So then if it goes badly tonight, then you start doing it.
Well,
That's when you start flipping
to me,
things.
it would have to be real ugly, real early for Berube to come out of the
That could happen.
second period and go, okay, I gotta get the bingo bangle balls out now.
I don't think in game. That's what I'm not alluding to. But you go through this game with your Pontus Holberg as your second line center, and
if
then you
they're
go
down 3-0 in the first period,
Yeah.
you won't see him stay with the same lines.
I'm telling you though, the depth
For
lines,
60
like
minutes.
Vegas's strength. Vegas can't hang with the Leafs top end to me when they have Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Hummin, even Tavares and Nyes. But down the lineup for Vegas, like once you get away from basically Eichel and Hurdle, it's this is middle six guys: Nick Waugh, Keegan Kolzar, William Karlsson, Brett Howden, Tanner Pearson.
NHLers.
They're going up against Minton, Robertson, and Grabenkin.
Yeah, and that should be
That could get exposed tonight. Is my point.
that should just men against boys there.
Yeah.
Right.
Truly. So let's listen to clip 3 on what old Craig Berube would like to hear from Grabenkin.
I haven't had a chance to watch him a ton with the Marlies, but he's a big guy. He was strong. He's strong on pucks. He's physical. He's got good size. Just that's your game, and use that to your advantage. Like, just be smart with pucks. Be simple and smart, and use your size in the offensive zone and your strength on the puck, and get your shots off and get to the net, and be responsible defensively. That's the biggest thing I tell all these guys is you got to be responsible defensively.
Do you think anyone's directives from Berube aren't keep it simple?
Yeah. Like Matthews, Marner, Nylander,
Which
Tavares.
really solidifies the fact that, to your point, Minton, just go out there and
Be David Camp.
Do your
be
job.
on the right side of the puck.
Literally, his job is to recreate David Camp for the next 3 weeks.
Yep.
Which is attainable, I would say. Other little bit of news, which you guys aren't going to like. They're starting Joseph Woll tonight.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
You are. No starts. He hasn't
Yeah.
played in a week. He played last Wednesday against Washington.
Yeah, he's the backup goalie.
He's not the backup goalie.
Yes, he is.
I know Anthony Stolarz has been the best guy. in the
Yeah,
league.
he is the backup goalie, but the backup goalie needs to play now.
And play him against a worse team on Sunday night. This is one of the best teams in the league
But
coming
here's
in
the
on
thing,
home
Ken.
ice.
You didn't go into this season with him as your backup goalie, and you want to give him a chance to get going. I made this argument to you guys before. He's won 3 of his last 4 games, in which he's given up 8 goals over 4 games. So he's winning. His save percentage is up. He's playing well.
And I thought
Get him in the net.
I thought he played well against Washington, and another solid effort will not create a goaltending controversy. It won't. That's how good Stolarz has been.
He's only first in the league in save percentage.
Okay? He's been off the charts. It's not what Joseph Woll does moving forward that will dictate a goaltending controversy here in Toronto. It will be that Stolarz falls off. And if he falls off, how much does he fall off?
I don't think it's a controversy by any stretch of the imagination. It's the opposite of that. Stolarz is far outplayed Woll. He's been available from the start of the season. I just think that you come off a good game on Saturday night in Hockey Night in Canada, multiple great saves. You go to Wednesday night on home ice against one of the best teams coming into the league. That's a starting goalie start, and I give it to the starting goalie. And you go Sunday night against Utah at home, perfect spot for the backup.
I think
it's the wrong choice.
I think
You're
there's
giving him
more.
a pace of 3 starts a month if you put.
Yeah, but they haven't played. It's a schedule thing for me.
I think there's more to be gained by playing Woll in this game in the big picture. And again, a guy that ended his season horribly, started his season horribly, and now you've got a little bit momentum, and he's got some reps behind him. He's had some good practices, and this is a very good test for him at home against a top team. So, Sammy, if you needed the points, or if you felt like you got to turn some momentum around, or can't mess with this game. I'm with you. It's Stolarz all day long, but I think big picture, this can only help the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, like
moving forward.
Tonight's game, one of the playoffs. There's no doubt. Like no one's sitting here making a case for Joseph Woll. I don't think.
And he's good. We were all in agreement that Joseph Woll's issues have only been around his health and not whether or not he's a good goalie or a capable goalie. They did commit $11 million to him this summer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
hey, listen, I know what you're saying.
Good game.
I just
good
disagree.
Game, good test.
He came off this like curious injury at the same time as Stolar's stock went like straight through the roof. And then he had a bad first game, and everyone, us included, were like, this guy, and then he's played 4 times since and been very good. So,
do we know who Joseph Woll's facing 200 feet away?
We do.
It's not Samsonov. It's Aiden Hill.
Yeah. Aiden Hill, but we get to take a look
That's
at
really
Team
a
Canada's
shame.
potential goalie.
Isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not a shame
I
because
would have loved to seen it.
I would like to see him play too.
no, because I've said so many bad things about him and the way things go for these I've talked about this a million times on the show. Out of conference weeknight opponents at the Scotiabank Arena rarely goes great. Like it's never a amazing crowd. It's kind of it's just kind of a dull thing. And Samsonov coming in with this team with the chip on his shoulder, he would have made 45 saves. People would have been making fun of me. Like I could know how it would have gone. So I'm glad he's not starting.
Do you want to hear something crazy
I
though?
hope he comes in as a backup after they shelled Aiden Hill.
The Leafs since 23-24 are much better against the West than the East, like significantly better, plus 44 compared to plus 1 in goal differential. So they do okay against these Western Conference teams. Yeah. Not that you can lump Vegas in with that. Anyway,
Western Conference, there's a lot of bad teams.
A lot of bad teams.
Yeah.
We do have Berube on starting Woll with clip 4.
Woll tonight?
Yes.
How difficult of a decision was that considering the way Anthony played on Saturday?
It's always a tough decision with I think goalies. And like I said, we've been kind of a rotation here, and I think it's worked well, and we're going to continue to do that.
Since when did they say it's a rotation here? I don't remember that.
I missed that one too.
I don't think he really believes that, but it kind of protects him and he protects his 2 goalies.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. I don't need to die on this hill mid-November, but as a start, I just love watching Anthony Stolarz. It's been a long time since the Leafs have had one of the best goalies in the league, and he is one of the best goalies in the league. When you have a tough opponent, you usually start your best goalie. So that's it for me. That's it. We move on.
Simone Benoit draws back in for Yanni Hakanpää. Kind of slid under the radar for me a little bit, but last game Hakanpää only played 12 minutes. Which
You got to be so careful with this guy.
The guy paired with Morgan Riley, tough to get in just for 12 minutes, isn't
Right.
it? Yeah, I guess that makes sense too, right? You missed this game and all of a sudden you're letting him have a week between games, which is good.
Like we have gone on the last few years about giving guys rest and taking guys. Tavares, we've often said, listen, let him play 60 games. Just get him ready, and it doesn't really happen. But it's really happening with this guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
even performance notwithstanding, you think he'll miss games.
Just getting him in a position where you think he might be available by April will be a huge win.
Which is crazy because like the way he plays, you need him to be like finishing checks, blocking shots. But then you're like so careful with him. He's like the world's toughest Fabergé egg.
They asked like why. And he's like, I just want to give him a rest and get Benoit back in there. He's missed too many games. It's coach's decision or whatever. But yeah, I think, what did you say the number was when I set the over-under at 30.5 for games for him played?
Yeah.
And I think you took the under.
I took the under on 40, I think.
40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a safe
That
bet, I would
seems very
say.
safe. Seems very safe.
The Max Domi injury, we're not sure what it is. Do you have anything on that?
Just connect the dots.
Okay.
Hard training camp, pulled groin, right? That won't heal. That won't. So, again, just looking at the schedule and the days between games now, going from Saturday to Wednesday to Sunday, there's not a better opportunity for some of these guys just to take
Little mid-season summer
a
vacay.
couple of games off and get
summer?
7 to 10 days to heal something up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that seems to be the theme of them just saying, just come back when you're fully ready. Let's listen to clip 1 from Ruby on
He
Mac.
needs some time off. He needs a rest, to get healthy. That's bottom line. We practiced yesterday, but wasn't doing well.
Wasn't doing well. So how much of the, I guess, are we giving it a pass now for the 13-game pointless streak or whatever he had going in? How much of this is that and confidence and it's all combined?
I don't know.
I mean, you get a partial pass, right? Can't give a full pass.
Yeah. I don't think he's been horrible. There's some nights he's played 20 minutes.
Yeah, and there's some nights he's skating.
And
He's really
it's
moving.
been snake bitten, breakaways.
Mm-hmm.
I think the break will do him good mentally more than anything. Heal whatever you need to heal, but another week off just to kind of reset.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to be a top scorer, but he does need to be a guy that can contribute 40 points, 40 plus points a season. If it's 50, it's
Particularly when he's playing with Marner and Tavares. You got to chip in.
Yes. And I just think the break again will do him well mentally and physically here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's also, I think, about.
Yeah, agreed with that. One of the things we have on here is we do have a clip on Tanev McKee. We'll get to in one sec. Chris Tanev this year is averaging 3.5 blocks per game, which is the highest in NHL history, behind only 1 year Chris Russell was 3.6. But he's on pace to shatter the single
Shatter
season
what?
Leafs record.
Oh,
hopefully
record.
not his
I thought you meant
limbs.
a leg. A leg.
He's on pace to
An ankle.
shatter his ankle.
I'm sure he's already got a bruise or two that maybe more than that on his hands or his leg.
Just to pick up our huck and paw conversation, just make sure you're ready in April, buddy.
You feel the same about Tanev?
Wow, that's a lot of block shots.
Yeah.
If you do the math.
Oh, sure.
And
230 some over the year.
Tons of wear and tear, and he's not 27.
Quite the opposite of that.
Right? So
It's 34, the opposite of 27.
It's
Yeah, is it
okay.
72?
I never thought I'd say this, but it's okay to flamingo.
Oh, God.
A few.
You don't
Come
pay
on.
Tanev to
Yep.
Flamingo.
Great observation.
Just one. It's okay.
Yeah.
You've got a goalie back there. You got two
I can
goalies
show
right
him how
now
to do it, where you say, I
that
couldn't
are
quite get to the
pretty
lane.
Good.
I'm pretty good at
Were
not
you
getting
a
to the lane.
flamingo?
No, I just couldn't quite get there. Just a step slow.
Boy, in my era, you never lived that down.
A flamingo?
Okay? You might as it was right up there with turtling,
Was it to actually lift a leg?
where you actually lift a leg
That's not cool.
to not block a
No.
shot.
So you can't get to the lane in the first place. Let's tune in. Let's listen to that clip. Is that okay, Sam?
Yeah, go
You get
for it.
something
Yeah,
else
no.
on Tanev McKee, clip 6.
Very good. Very good. Solid defensively, obviously. And I said it the other day, they work really well breaking pucks out of their zone. It's not always the cleanest breakouts, but they do a good job of getting it out. And so very solid defensively, killing penalties and all that grunt work. That's they've been great for us.
Ruby loves it.
That to me, though, if you're going to point to one thing that
It's different.
just hear me out here, gives me hope for a playoff series.
I hope the kills the man.
Oh, for sure, buddy. I've been hoping my whole life. That pairing, being healthy come playoff time, does give me hope against another team's top line. And you have Matthews and Marner had health with their ability to play defensively. That is a true go up against another team's top line and win your minutes type of deal. So Tanev's been worth every penny for me.
Yeah.
And I have nothing but positive things to say about him. I love watching him play.
I think only the pair of Slavin and Burns have been better at limiting chances this year.
Then McCabe and
Tanev
doesn't
together.
surprise me. That fits the eye test.
Yeah, been very good.
So Berube got asked about his first NHL game today because of Gerbankin making his debut. Do you want to hear the clip about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Clip.
Flyers.
I had 56 penalty minutes and less time than that on the ice. That's what I remember. I forget the time of the ice, but it was lower than the penalty minutes. That's what I remember.
He had 56 penalty minutes his first game.
So I went back.
Kill a man?
I went back
Yeah.
and I dug up his first game. I think this is his first game.
Okay.
He played 7 games at the end of the 86-87 season. And I went back to the 7th game of that, sort of the 7th last game
So
of that
who's
season.
he chasing around the ice all night?
It wasn't 56. It was 26.
Okay.
But it was against the Pittsburgh Penguins on March 26,
Jay Caulfield?
1987.
He fought Jay Caulfield?
It doesn't say who he fought, but in the first period, he had a rough. In the second period, he had an instigator and a fight. And later in that period, he got a misconduct, a fighting, and an instigator. And then he wasn't involved much in the third period. So that's how you get to 26.
He knew what he was there to do.
And this is the most amazing part is the fight and the instigator was at 50 seconds of the first period, and the misconduct, fighting, and instigator was at 19:09 of the second period. So it's like right at the start of the period and right at the end of the second period. I love it. So there you go.
I don't think we're going to see that from Grabankin.
I think he knew his role.
Do you
Right?
What,
That's how you stick.
what do you remember about yours?
Well, mine was I got claimed off of the waiver wire, and I had to
Played
go.
his
I had to
old
go
team.
back and play the same
Right.
team that I just got claimed from, the
Right.
Philadelphia Flyers, and they're all chirping me, and it's like my last thought was I was going to fight anybody there. You know, I mean, my head was still spinning at that point. I was like a little over my skis.
Was Berube on that team?
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
there was meatheads everywhere. Talkett, Berube, Chikrin,
Oh my god.
Dave Brown. It was like,
And you didn't fight.
but I was never a fighter. I got news for you. I was a lover.
I got a few YouTube videos that might tell me differently. That's interesting. So you did a lot of
I
puck,
don't know how I got tied up in all of that.
a lot of puck touches in that game.
I went in there with my autograph
Get it in
book.
deep. Get it
That's
in
all I
deep.
remember.
Before we
He
go
had
to
good puck touches.
before we go to break, do you want to hear Berube? So he was close with Montgomery with the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
Had him as an assistant coach in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Fresh when Montgomery was at a treatment from Dallas, I believe they hired him as an assistant. Let's listen to Berube on that.
It's upsetting. I know Monty personally, and we brought Monty into St. Louis to work with us for a couple of years, and he was fantastic. You know, I feel for coaches, and you know, it's a tough business. It really is. It's this one's more personal for me.
That was a good, fantastic. He meant that.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have the Grabankin thing.
We do.
Oh, you do?
We
Okay.
do.
All right. The Monty thing. Not surprised that Berube loves him, eh?
No, you've always heard great things, and he went through a horrible time, as we know, well documented in Dallas. But it was never about like, you know, the type of guy that we just heard from Craig Berube. That's always kind of followed him around.
St. Louis, Detroit, Montreal, Pittsburgh. There's some options for Monty.
Yeah, I think so. But as of now, I'd probably think these teams would lend towards, and it's not that he's inexperienced,
Right.
but he would not have the same clout right now or around those teams as, say, Joel Quenneville or Todd McClellan would have.
All right. Last thing, Grabankin's first NHL game. We were just talking first games. Doesn't really speak English, but is willing to try, and I think that's the coolest thing. And this guy has seemed unafraid every step of the way with the Leafs.
Yeah.
And we have a clip of him.
This is
What was he asked? You know?
not really. This is just his scrum. I don't think it matters what was asked. This is what he said.
Enjoy a long time. I hard working every day. Today enjoy wait chance. Leaves give me chance. I go work. Help team. It's win. Not win. I not enjoy. Win today. It's enjoy.
I love that.
Pretty good.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we win, I'm happy. If we lose, I'm not.
I can't believe the guts that takes.
The absolute
to just
gut.
stand up there in your second language with all these media guys breathing down your throat, holding a recording, be like, say words. If I was in Russia, I'd be like, Russia, borscht. I don't know, Ovechkin? Like, I don't even know what I would say.
Ovi was like that when he first broke in.
Malkin still is.
Ovi, the best clip of all time is him getting the hole in one. I swear to God.
Yeah, that's right.
I played with Esa Tikkanen where his English got worse as his career got longer.
He just put in less effort, eh? Just whatever. But I like, not always the most comfortable public speaker myself, and so for those,
really?
Yeah, well, I know it's there's no one in here. It's just the three of us.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, good for Gurbankin.
Okay, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll welcome in Jesse Granger, who will kind of feed us a little bit on what we can expect out of Vegas tonight. He does a terrific job with The Athletic, and we'll figure out if Logan Thompson, who's
Aiden Hill.
Aiden Hill.
Yeah.
I get those guys mixed up.
Oh, they're both in Vegas.
And they both catch. Do they not?
Logan Thompson's not in Vegas.
No, they
Washington.
were in Vegas.
Oh, yeah, they
it
were in
was
Vegas. That's why I got them. And they both catch with right hands. Do they not?
I'll have to check that out. Let's hit the break.
Really put me on the spot there. I got no answers.
Okay. Jesse will know when we
Jesse will
return.
know.
The real Kyper and Bourne. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, right back at you. I feel shame because I pride myself on knowing players that shoot left or right, but I screwed up Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson.
Easy to do. Two good Vegas goalies. Once upon a time.
All right. You know who can straighten me out is Jesse Granger. Golden Knights covers them with The Athletic. Welcome in, Jess. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Once again, Vegas Golden Knights, a team very much in the thick of things. It's par for the course now when it comes to, I think, George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon and finding different ways to keep this team competitive.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because after losing the scoring depth that they lost this offseason with Marchessault and Stevenson and even some guys like Amadio and Carrier that pitched in, we all kind of expected this team to have to win 2-1 games, and their defense is good. It was the biggest reason they won the cup. We figured, okay, they're going to come in and win some tight checking games and pull out some one-goal victories. And it's been the exact opposite. They haven't defended as well. The goaltending hasn't been as good as it has been, but they can't stop scoring. Yes, this team does figure out ways to win. They just seem poised. It's a group that's played together for a long time, and they find ways, no matter kind of which direction the game goes, to pull it out. This year, it's been a lot of high-scoring games.
Well, to that effect, Jesse, I'm going to read you Jack Eichel's points per game over his years in Vegas. First year, 0.74, then 0.99, then 1.08, and this year, 1.56. What has gone on with Jack Eichel that he's suddenly this superb offensive force there in Vegas?
Yeah, it's really interesting. He's playing the best hockey I've ever seen Jack Eichel play, and it's not as if he's on one of these lines like you see in Colorado where they stack all the stars on a line, or sometimes they'll do it in Edmonton. He did play with Mark Stone for quite a bit, and those two work really well together early in the year. But lately, he's been playing with Ivan Barbashev and Pavel Dorofeev, who are both capable scorers, but are not superstars. They're not the players you typically see on a top line on most NHL teams, and yet Jack Eichel is carrying this line. He's driving the offense. Once the puck's on his stick in the defensive zone, it's his ability to transport it to the offensive zone, gain the zone entry, and settle the puck and set up the offense is second to none. I mean, it's basically 100% when he gets the puck on his stick. So he's allowing Barbashev and Dorofeev, who are both kind of net front guys who they're not going to drive the offense themselves, but they do get to the dirty areas. They do get to the areas where they can score, and Eichel's been getting them the puck, and they've been converting at a really high rate. Now, is that shooting percentage for the team overall going to continue? Probably not. We are probably going to see a dip, which would probably lead to Eichel's points per game dipping a little bit, but I think that it's legitimate. I don't think this is just a hot streak. I think if he stays relatively healthy, I expect him to hit 100 points for the first time.
Is this just the evolution of a talented player? Because the Jack Eichel we all kind of remember was the 6 years in Buffalo and quietly behind the scenes, not happy with the coach or not happy with his ice time or his teammates or whatever it was. And then he goes to Vegas and just finds his spot. Do we just leave it, Jesse, to a guy maturing? Is it as simple as that?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think there are factors. Like, I think the team he came to was a big help. He didn't have to be the savior. He didn't have to be the leader. He could kind of sit back and just be Jack Eichel and let Mark Stone and Alex Pietrangelo. And at the time they had guys like Jonathan Marchessault and Alec Martinez that were really strong veteran presence. He kind of just got to play his game. And I also think that Bruce Cassidy was the perfect coach for Jack Eichel. They're both kind of Boston guys. They get along well. I think Cassidy instilled some of that 200-foot game that we didn't see in Buffalo, and Eichel's physically capable of doing it. He's so strong. He's got such a strong stick. His first stride is so good. He can close distance really well. He has all the attributes to be a good defensive center. I think Cassidy really brought it out of him, and he's been everything for this team. He's one of their top penalty killers. The power play runs through him. He drives the offense at 5-on-5. He does everything you need out of your top center, and I just think that it was a very good combination. I think the Golden Knights had a lot of what Jack Eichel needed, and I think Jack Eichel brought a lot of what the Golden Knights needed.
If I was a Vegas fan, the very best thing about the Amazon series was that his episode was the most boring one. It was just like, yeah, I just go to dinner, take care of myself, and play hockey. That's wonderful. It's what you want from your star players. We'll turn the page to your goaltenders, which fascinate us here. We've talked about them quite a bit. I'm going to start with Ilya Samsonov because we talked about him, every single day last year. What are you guys getting out of Samsonov? Are you enjoying the experience this year?
He's been up and down, and to be honest, that's kind of how I see his game overall. I think the structure of his game is not great by NHL standards, and I think that's why you see the fluctuation of good games and bad games. But he's very athletic. He tracks the puck well. He has good hand-eye coordination, like reactions to plays in front of him. So when he's kind of a rhythm goalie. When he's feeling it and he's on rhythm and he's seeing things well, he's really good. When he's not, his structure lets him down a little bit, and he'll let in some goals that kind of surprise you and are a little bit of a letdown. So I think you're going to get that with Samsonov, and that's so far it's been pretty even. I mean, he was injured for a little while, so he hasn't played a ton, but I think he's given the Golden Knights what they need out of a backup goalie when he's been healthy, and I think that this team will play better defense as the season goes on. Like I mentioned earlier, they're not defending the way we expected them to. Pietrangelo and Hanifin and Theodore, they've got great defensemen, but they haven't defended as well. So the goalie numbers have suffered a little. I expect both Hill and Samsonov, I expect their numbers to get better as the season goes on, as this team kind of finds its way defensively.
Jesse, the one thing about Samsonov that we covered over the years was just how emotional he got during games or after games, and he wore it definitely on his sleeve. Have you seen signs of that, or is he better now as he's gotten older of maybe keeping his emotional cards very close to his chest?
He's been pretty tempered from what we've seen, and I think that it's also just like the expectations aren't there anymore, so maybe that allows you to just naturally calm down a little bit, right? Like in Toronto, the expectations are very high. You're the starter. You're expected to be the guy. I think he comes to Vegas, and he's behind Adin Hill, who won the Cup here and is clearly the coach's number one goalie at the moment. It is a pretty even rotation, maybe 60-40, but Hill is clearly the guy, so I think that takes a little pressure off of you, and he has seemed a lot more relaxed. He's a really easygoing guy. I like talking to him in the locker room. Definitely different than I expected him to be, I guess, just from seeing interviews with him before I got to deal with him on a daily basis. But yeah, he's been pretty chill.
So then the other guy, does he get talked about enough from a Team Canada perspective? We do a pretty common discussion around that, and he seems like one of the guys who should at least be in the conversation.
Yeah, Adin Hill is the consistency throughout his career hasn't been there, and I think that injuries were a big part of that. But when he's on, he's very, very tough to score on. I mean, because he's so big and he plays big, he uses that frame. He stands tall in his butterfly. His shoulders are really wide. Like he's only 6'4", but he looks 6'6" in there. And he's a good blocking goalie that reads the play well. And he's athletic. When the play does break down, he has to leave that structure. Most goalies his size, I think, aren't as good at kind of making an athletic play as Adin is. So when he's on, he's very, very good. We haven't seen the consistency. And unfortunately for him, I mean, Bruce Cassidy even mentioned that early in the year, he played Adin Hill intentionally a couple games like it kind of messed up the rotation with Samsonov and Hill, specifically so that the Team Canada people, Doug Armstrong in St. Louis, and a few others along the way, he wanted them to get a look at John Cooper in Tampa. They wanted him to get a look at Aiden, and he didn't play well in those games. So obviously, they're not going to hold those one-game sample sizes against him. It's a big picture look. I do think he'll probably be one of the three. I don't know if he'll be the guy. Jordan Binnington is playing pretty well. He played really well last year. It hasn't been quite as good this year. I think there's a few options for them to look at, but I think Aiden should be right in that mix. And like I said, his ceiling, and that's part of why the Golden Knights chose him over Logan Thompson and why he's the number one over Ilya Samsonov, is because Bruce Cassidy has seen what Aiden Hill plays like when he's on a heater, and they won a cup largely because of it. And their mission, I guess, is to try to get him on feeling good and in one of those rhythms when the games get important.
We're talking to Jesse Granger, covers the Golden Knights for the Athletics. So, Jesse, the backbone of this hockey club has to remain the blue line led by Alex Pietrangelo. There's Theodore, there's McNabb, but now the commitment to go out there and get a Noah Hannafin and sign him to that long-term deal. How has that enabled Vegas to go to another level? And what have you seen out of Hannafin since he's joined?
Yeah, it's been an interesting road for Hannafin here. Last year, he came in after the deadline and was an immediate, just seamless fit. Perfect. He was playing, and in the playoffs, he was one of their best players every night against Dallas in that first round series that went 7 games. He was so good. This year, we haven't seen that level quite as often. He has had a few games where the one where he scored his first goal, he takes over, he starts carrying the puck up the ice. He's so smooth. I don't think Hannafin is maybe quite as high-end offense as Shea Theodore. He may not be the workhorse that Alex Pietrangelo is. He doesn't have any specific skill that he's elite at. He's just so good at everything, and he's smooth. He's a great skater. I love his gap control. I think his timing on attacking players as they cross the blue line is as good as it gets. But what's interesting is he looks good at the eye test, but when you look at the analytics, the on-ice numbers, the kind of underlying numbers, they haven't been good for him this year. And like I said, they haven't defended as well as we expected them to as a team. And I think Hannafin playing a lot of minutes is probably just, if the team's underperforming and you're out there all the time, your underlying metrics aren't going to be as good in terms of just the goals allowed and the chances allowed. So it's been kind of a mixed bag for him. I think he's a very good fit on this team, and I think he's a great pickup, and I think he's going to be good for pretty much the extent of this contract. But he hasn't been at the top of his game so far this year. He definitely still has some room to improve.
Get your thoughts on handicapping the Pacific Division. 3 Canadian teams in there that we pay close attention to. How does Vegas fit in? Do you think right now, I think they're in first place. Do you think they're the best team in the division?
Well, it comes down to Edmonton. I think Edmonton certainly has the highest ceiling. If they start clicking, I think they have the highest ceiling of anyone in the division, but I think the Golden Knights are the most consistent and the team you can count on to bring the same level every night and throughout 82 games. I wouldn't be surprised if the Golden Knights do end up winning this division just because of that consistency. I just think that this group, I mentioned it at the top, They've played together for so long. They've won so many big games together. The vast majority of this team went on the cup run together. I just think this team knows how to win. And when they're not at their best, when they're having a bad game, this team, I think they have the best record in the league when trailing going into the third period this year. This team finds ways to win. So yes, I do think that they're probably, if I was picking a favorite to win the regular season Pacific Division, I think the Golden Knights probably are the favorite. But in terms of which of these teams is like the biggest cup favorite, I still think if Edmonton finds their game, they've got that ceiling. Calgary and Vancouver are interesting because they're both. I thought Vancouver has played better than I expected when considering Demko's out. I thought that might be the death of that team with Demko missing all this time early in the year, and it hasn't been. They've played pretty well. Lengthens has played really well for him, and the team in front of him is playing well. And Calgary is getting good goaltending as well. So I think that there are I think this division's better than I expected it to be coming into the season, more competitive, and I think the Golden Knights stack up well.
So what's the situation, the latest situation on Stone before I let you go? And, you know, not that it has anything to do with a trade deadline, but, I mean, you know this team as well as anyone. Is it par for the course that we're just going to see a big name added to the Vegas Golden Knights by March? Is it shaping up to be one of those, hey, who knows what the cap could look like for this team by the time the trade deadline comes around?
Yeah, I'll start by saying I will never count this team out to add a big star player because I've done that before and I'm always wrong when I say that. So I think there's a chance, but I will say, first of all, Stone, I don't think has the injury. I expect him to be back relatively soon. I think he could be back as early as tomorrow in Ottawa. I don't know if he'll play tomorrow, but I think he's getting pretty close to a return. So I don't think that is going to open up space for a deadline ad, at least this current injury. So they don't have a ton of cap space. They do have what concerns me about their ability to add another big star at the deadline the way they've done for the past several years is they've spent a lot of their assets. They had a ton of picks from the expansion draft. They've kind of exhausted those. They don't have a first round pick for the next 2 years. And they've traded all their top first round prospects really, except for Trevor Connolly, who they just drafted, and Brendan Brisson, who just got sent back down to the AHL a couple weeks ago and I don't think his stock is as high as it can be. So I think even if they do want to add a big piece, I think it's going to be tougher for them this year. They're going to have to be more creative. And like I said, I'll never count this team out, but I do think they don't have the cash, the prospects, the picks to go out and push their chips all in the way they have the past few seasons.
Jesse, great stuff. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jesse.
He's gone.
Oh, was he in a hurry or did we
That's good.
cut him off?
See you later.
Good stuff.
Yeah, legitimately good stuff.
Got to read for you guys.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
go.
We're not really ready, but you're going to do it anyways.
Who wants to win a bunch of cash while doing the best thing this holiday season?
We do.
It's Sportsnet 590 The Fans 50-50 Fortune supporting food for kids. And here's what you need to know. We've created a 50-50 lottery where the more money we raise, the more kids we can feed in the GTA, and the more you can win. The current take-home prize is, let me go to my website here, is $114,000 and $122. Someone is going to win that jackpot on Thursday, December 19th. And if you get your tickets earlier, there are a bunch of amazing early bird prizes, including a pair of tickets to Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, this Saturday night, courtesy of Rogers. Get your tickets by Friday at 9 a.m. for the chance to win. For more details and to buy your tickets, go to foodforkids5050.ca or text the word cash to 590-590, and we'll send the link right to your phone. It's the 50-50 Fortune supporting Food for Kids. Standard message and data rates apply. Ontario only.
We got to get him longer.
Okay. Okay, listen, if you don't, there's a chance those kids could starve if you don't read that better next time.
Be quiet.
Okay?
I am 100% going to send some money at
Kippy, you're
break
next.
here.
You got to read this next time. Tomorrow?
That's a long read.
Tomorrow.
How do you not handicap Vegas as the number one team out of the
Well,
West?
Vancouver won the division last year. People forget that. But not looking pretty.
But
and they're hurt.
and I get Winnipeg and their amazing start, and I'm not saying that Winnipeg can't beat Vegas.
You're talking in the West.
I'm talking the West.
Yeah.
When you look at that blue line for me, and still Pietrangelo leading the way, and we got Mark Stone healthy.
Yeah.
Man, that and the depth that you were talking about on the third and fourth line.
Dallas still pretty good in the Central. Minnesota's not going to stay up there. Yeah, no, you're right. Unless the Oilers get red hot.
But you look at the Oilers' blue line and you compare it to Vegas.
No,
and it's
you're right.
no
You're right.
contest.
Particularly with the Nurse injury right now.
Yes.
Hyman came up a little lame last night, too. Hopefully he's okay.
You see him get lit up by Xhekaj?
I did.
Oh, my God.
Two quick things. Vegas plus 18 in third periods this year, best in the NHL. And most wins in franchise history through the first 550 games of a franchise.
Sammy, you're pretty confident tonight.
No.
For the underdog Leafs?
Zero confidence.
Leafs
Zero.
Massive.
Massive?
Massive.
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
listen, they got an AHL lineup and they started the backup goalie. They got no chance tonight.
All right.
That's a good reverse jinx effort.
There you go. You got the bet all set up?
No.
What is it? Comfort bet? What do you call it?
The happiness hedge.
All right. All right, don't go away. Craig Conroy, General Manager of the Calgary Flames, next as the Real Kyper and Bourne Show goes national. Don't you dare go away. Welcome back into the Real Kyper and Bourne Show as we go national. Live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kipper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Craig Conroy, general manager of the Calgary Flames, former NHLer, over 1,000 playoff or 1,000 games in the National Hockey League.
I was going to say 1,000 playoff games.
Wow.
That's a lot.
He's played a few, too.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say.
Yes, sir. You watched some of that Flames game last night?
I did, yeah. They've got a really good goalie. Their goaltending's been their strength all season long, and a big reason why 10-6 looks pretty darn good right now. 10-6-3.
Could any Islanders team look more Islanders-y than that Islanders team? Like just the most. Sammy and I were talking about this. They're fine.
Yeah,
everyone's okay. They're okay.
It feels like
they're the world's most average team.
If you brought all their guys, like all their like good guys, onto an elite team, they'd be an awesome contributor.
Great to have Brock Nelson on your team, or Anders Lee.
Putting them together as a team, it's like, I don't know.
Bo Horvat.
Yeah, Bo Horvat's really good.
And it just seems like every signing that Lou Lamoriello's had the last few years is just so they could be that mid team.
Lock up Palmieri. Gotta have him. Go 5 years to JG Pajot. Gotta have him.
I mean, I don't know if you boys saw my boy Pierre Engvall last night. Looks like he was worth the money.
3 goals and 3
toe drag, snapper.
Did you see the Beaver tap?
Yes.
Okay, that was a new NHL record. Puck furthest away from a Beaver tap in NHL history.
It's the
thing was on the other side of the ice, and he's on the. It's near, like 100 feet
near half boards, and he's banging away.
And he's banging away, and he got the puck back.
I mean, and guess what he did? Toe drag top corner.
It doesn't matter. It's the most embarrassing thing. My son is never going to be a Beaver tap guy. Use your voice.
You know who loves a Beaver tap? Nick Robertson loves a Beaver tap. Loves it.
It's like, that could be the other team here.
Yep.
I hate it.
Well, we're going to ask Craig a number of things, including, how much does a team that seems to be in the mix right now kind of sway him on what maybe he thought he'd do long-term to this team?
Do you think we could get a GM to admit that the team is doing better than they had planned to do?
Well, we're going to do that right now to Craig Conroy. Because that's...
All right, perfect.
All right, let's welcome him in. Craig Conroy, former National Hockey Leaguer, now super general manager of the Calgary Flames. Connor, how are you, bud?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
We're good. Okay, we're going to hit you right between the eyes here, okay? Because I don't know if you caught any of our conversation before you came on. Okay, but come on. How surprised are you that your team's this good right now, this early?
Well, very happy. I mean, obviously,
there you go.
Season, and you want to win every game
for sure.
You really do. But you see where everybody picked you and where everybody kind of thought you might be before the season, and it gives everybody a little motivation, especially the older guys. Hey, we're better than this. They got us picked right at the bottom. So the question mark maybe was goaltending, and our goaltending's been excellent up to this point.
Has that been the main? Well, I think we'd agree it was the main point. But have there been multiple facets of your game where you've been like, we didn't think we would be this strong here?
Well, I think goaltending is definitely, with losing Markstrom or trading Markstrom.
Right. Yeah.
We believe that, hey, we have 2 good young goalies. They were excited. I mean, you talk to them, everyone else said, well, we don't know what's going to happen. They were just looking to prove themselves. Hey, we're NHL goalies, and we got an opportunity with Markstrom gone. So, you didn't know how it was going to work out, but they've really, right from the day one, they've been battling, and Devin Cooley's been amazing in the American League too. So, we have goaltending has really taken off and been a huge difference for us. You'd like our special teams to be better. They were better last night, but they've definitely struggled. So if you want to say the goaltending is a positive, the special teams has been a negative so far this year.
So every Tuesday we have Stephen Valiquette come on, whose expertise is goaltending. And he has said on our show that he thinks that Dustin Wolf's one of the fastest goalies he's ever seen. Like he describes him as explosive. Now, is that the feedback that you've gotten all these years about what makes him maybe special or different than other goaltenders?
Well, the one thing, he is quick from post to post because he's got to come out a little bit farther. So he's got a little bit farther to slide sometimes when he goes across. So, watching him in junior and then seeing him do it in the American League. And it's always a little adjustment period for Dustin. He got lit up. I remember the first American League game. I was like, oh boy, this might be a long year. And it seems like he just kind of dials himself in and figures it out and figures out where he has to go against different shooters. But the other thing, he really absorbs pucks well. That's the thing that I like. And sometimes he has to come across standing up when you're smaller goalie. He somehow reads it and comes across standing up. It's weird how he does it. I wouldn't, most goalies just they slide across and they're in the butterfly, and he can come across actually up on his feet, which takes away some of the net for him.
Yeah, and he's not stuck in that cursed RVH that way either. He's upright. I like it.
Yeah.
So
he is up.
Looking at your, the offensive side of your guys' game, Rasmus Anderson is leading your team in points. He's playing 25 minutes a night. I know we're talking about the goalies, but this guy has to be in the conversation for your MVP this year.
No, he's played amazing. I mean, the one thing with Rasmus, he's such a competitor every game. I mean, he, physical, plays hard. So those are a hard, once he plays over 25 minutes, I always tell him that might be too much. He's like, no, I can play more. So, that's just the way his mind is set. But even last night to score the big goal for us, he loves staring down the crowd. I said, what happened last night? He goes, I looked in, and Craig, everyone had a Flames jersey on. There wasn't one, wasn't one opposing jersey. So he was looking at, and Kadri was actually looking for someone too, he said, in the pile. So no Islander jerseys in the front row. So he couldn't stare anybody down last night, but he's been excellent. And, you think with the Four Nations coming, he should be definitely in that conversation. He has been one of our MVPs in the team so far this year.
Before we get into specifics on UFAs on your hockey club and what to do with them, what does again a start like this do for you with your mindset on what kind of transition year it's going to be and what ultimately you need to do at the trade deadline and how it may or may not alter now based on what you've seen so far?
I mean, I think we've always had a plan where we need to go, and one of it's to get young guys in. Young guys playing, young Coronado. Matt Coronado's been up. We sent him down for one little stint, but he's been up here with Zari, Pospisil, bringing Kevin Ball over. Not that, he's been in the league for a while, but he's still a young guy. We've tried to get those young guys in, and we got to continue to do that. I mean, we've had a great start in the American League and so many players you'd like to call everybody up, but obviously you can't just, and we're having success here, but at some point we need to give these guys an opportunity also. But, for us, come trade deadline, I think it's status quo. We're going to see where this team's at. There's a lot of hockey to be played between now and then. And, I think you might have mentioned it. We haven't been scoring a ton of goals. And so it puts a lot of pressure on every game's a 1-goal game right down the stretch. So, we'll see how it goes here, but the plan is, hey, get these young guys in, trading Markstrom gave Wolf and Vladar a chance to become an NHL starting goalie. And we're going to continue to do that with other players as we move along here.
Well, it's almost like pruning a tree or something where it gives room for these other branches to grow. Looking at your team, like Zari, Kirkland, Coronado, Pospisil, like a lot of young guys have, kind of taken the step to become real contributors for you.
Well, it's been, we've been able to kind of have him play in the minors. Zari was 2 years in the minors and really get to his game where he was comfortable. And then he got called up and never to be sent down. And I think that people were a little upset this year when I sent Matt down, Coronado. It was only for a couple games, but I'm like, what is going on here? He needs to play. He's a young player. That's what they don't understand sometimes. They just want to see us put all the young players in, but we want to put in an environment where we're competing every night. We might not win every night, but we want to have close games, competitive games, and put these guys in the right positions so they succeed moving forward for us.
So are you a big member at Costco?
Oh, yeah. Love Costco. I'm like, he must be trying to get a deal in there somehow.
How does he not have one yet? We got to make it happen.
He's it's fun when he goes out for the shootout too. I knew he was good, but I'm like, it's the NHL. But he's had 2 for 3, so not bad.
But he is making the most out of, again, last night, under 8 minutes, but finding ways to contribute. 28 years old. It's a nice story.
It is. You know what? And he comes every day with a smile on his face, and he's enjoying it so much, and he's not taking it for granted that, hey, I'm here, I'm guaranteed to be here. I'm working every day, whether he plays 8 minutes or 1 minute or 20 minutes. He's not gonna let this thing go. But the best thing is, the other night he jumped in and had a fight right after, there was a little scrum on the ice, and he's just doing anything he can to stay. I mean, it should send a message to everybody else around the league to be there. You have to do things maybe that you're not always comfortable with too, but to see the way he's come in and played for us it's a great story, and he's a great person.
When the Tkachuk trade happened, the immediate returns, people had question marks and worries and all that. And obviously that'll be a conversation for a lot of years. But Mackenzie Weegar has really become an important piece of what you guys are doing. People talking about him potentially being a guy on Canada's Four Nations face-off team. He has taken a step over the last year or so, hasn't he?
No, he has. I mean, the one thing, it's his all-around game, offense, defense, but he plays like Rasmus Anderson. The amount of minutes he plays and the hard minutes that he plays in the matchup. I mean, blocking shots last night, finishing checks, compete. It's not an easy game that he plays, but it seems like ever since he's been here, every year he's risen his level a little bit. Obviously scoring 20 goals was amazing last year, but he brings so much more to the game. And a big reason why we're having success night in and night out.
You do have a couple of UFAs scenarios. Kuzmenko's got these quick hands that we saw last night. He's UFA. Like, is there any thought about keeping these guys around, or is it just one of those scenarios that you just have to play out the year to get to? Anthony Mantha, very disappointing because he seemed to have gotten off to a good start. And it would have been nice to see what he could have done over the course of the year. But any thoughts about still revisiting signing them longer term?
I think you're always open to talking and seeing what everybody's thinking. But again, for us, I think we have to see where we are closer to the trade deadline, where this team kind of is, and, if it's a fit long term. And that's what's nice right now. We don't have to rush and just do something. We can kind of sit back, watch, see how the team's going, and then make those decisions. But you're always open to conversations. I felt bad for Mantha because he really was playing so well for us. And, it's just, he came, he wanted to prove himself. And, Gordie Howe hat trick the first night in Vancouver, definitely endeared himself to the city and the fans right away and the team. And then fortunately it was just a freak little thing in Montreal, and, to ACL surgery. It was disappointing for him for sure.
How much do you believe in vibes? Like over the course of the season, positive and negative energy, you guys getting off to a good start. Is that something that affects things for the year, or is at the end of the day, just your roster can only win the amount of wins it's built to win? That makes sense?
I think the big thing is when we won that first game in Vancouver, it did not look good for us. To be able to come back, to go down, to see the room after, to see the guys, the excitement, it felt great. Like, I walked in and I wasn't sure what was gonna, the atmosphere was gonna be good, but it was a real belief. And I think now we've played so many games. Obviously, we've come back a lot this year. It's not a recipe for success, but the guys believe, hey, we can do it. We're not out of the game. We got to keep it close. Goaltending's been excellent. They give us a chance every night. Now we got to, we'd love to get the power play going. And I think with Kuzmenko, as we mentioned earlier, when he really gets, if he gets hot, that power play just took off last year. We were the top power play the last, I think, 13 games. We need to get back to maybe not the top power play in the league, but we need to be scoring consistently. It gives us even that much better chance every night.
Got to ask you about Kadri and still what he's able to bring you. I know, again, not to ask you whether or not you'd ever contemplate trading him, but in terms of what he's bringing and what he can still share with some of the younger players, it has to be so valuable for you.
No, it is. I mean, he is a competitive. He's a warrior out there. I mean, he comes to win every night. He leaves it on. He tries. Sometimes, you say, oh, you'd like to see him just make the easy play cards, but he does some amazing stuff, and he always wants to be a difference maker and help this team win. And he pushes the other guys. He doesn't. He holds everybody accountable. Obviously, I'm not on the bench, but I can see him. I can see him going at some of the guys. And I thought he did an amazing job, especially with our young guys, Zari and Pospisil last year. Their game took off and his game really took off. So, he's a veteran leader that, he's not here to lose games. Like that's what he said at the beginning of the year. I'm here. I want to win and I want to prove everybody wrong. And that's kind of his attitude, which is great for our locker room.
Did you read his book?
I haven't read it yet. I got to read it though. I'm a little nervous what it's going to say.
Like, wouldn't you have maybe suggested save it for the end of your career and throw us a chapter in?
He thought it was the right time for him.
Yeah, no, I've read a couple of herbs. It does look interesting.
It's good. It's a very good book.
Good stuff there. We were talking before we had you on to Jesse Granger, who covers the Vegas Golden Knights, about the Pacific Division. What are your thoughts on the division this year? Some years weaker than others, stronger than others. How do you see things around you guys?
Well, I mean, we knew it was going to be hard coming in. You have obviously Edmonton's the odds-on favorite leading going into the season. You have Vegas, and even the young teams. I think LA's off to a great start. The San Jose's and Anaheims are not easy games. They've added players. Their younger players are coming along. So Seattle's always a battle with us. So we feel like it's a strong division. Obviously, there's a couple elite teams, and we're trying to stay in that mix as long as we can to give us a chance down the stretch here.
Did I ever tell you guys that I called Craig Conroy one year during his career and told him he got traded?
No. Really? How did that come to be? Presumably you weren't the GM.
I'm telling you, it was horrible.
I was literally sitting we were Philly. We had back-to-back games. We'd played, I think, Detroit the night before, flew in from St. Louis. The deadline was over, though, and I think as a player, we woke up from our nap and we're kind of ready. We're looking at who got traded, and the phone rings, and it's Kyper, and he said, "What do you think about the trades?" And I thought he was talking about Doug Waite and Keith Tkachuk trades coming to St. Louis. He goes, "No, I'm talking about your trade." I'm like, "I'm not traded." He goes, "Can I call you back?" Probably called me.
Oh my gosh! I'm like,
within 5 minutes, Larry and Joel called me up to the room, and I knew I was traded. I just didn't know where, because I don't think you told me, Kyper, where I was traded.
Yeah,
just that I was traded.
Yeah, no. I'm like my first thought was you need to talk to somebody there, and I'm sorry about breaking the news, but. Hey, those were the days back there, and for sure. But the good news is you're not going anywhere now. If I call you, it's not to tell you you're packing up and moving. Craig, thanks for doing this, man.
Feeling. Thanks for having me, guys.
Really appreciate
thanks for your time.
it.
Really
Craig Conroy's doing a fabulous job with the Calgary Flames, who remain in the thick of things.
I mean, like if they kept going like this, I don't know, maybe add
What
a
would
guy?
you do with Rasmus Anderson? And if I'm not mistaken, he's got one more year. Yeah. But
what would I do?
Those guys,
I would beg him to trade him to the Leafs for nothing.
Oh my God.
That's what I would
right?
do.
He's
if you're asking.
He's now in a position to ask July 1st for a long-term extension. And Calgary says what?
Rasmus Anderson is 28 years old, and he is awesome. He's making $4.5 million this year and next. If I were the GM, Rasmus Anderson would be committing to my team for the next 6 years, 7 years.
I think
is he going to get the full 8?
6 for sure. If he wants,
I'd love to
7
give him
or 8,
6.
he can push it. But like he controls out there. He's got the bomb for the shot that we saw last night.
And he's a tank. And what I love that Conroy mentioned so much is a lot of these guys, they're competitive on that team. Uyghur competes and Anderson competes and Kadri competes, and they got a lot of guys, Zari and Coleman, and they work hard.
And they got a really good goalie right now.
Yeah.
There was a play that Anderson made. I don't know what point of the game it was on a penalty kill, and he just eats a slapper like right in the foot, and it clearly kills him. He's like, oh, he goes down to like touch it, and then he sees a guy going to the front of the net, and he just hobbles over, hammers his stick like as hard as he possibly can, then hobbles back to the bench after. I'm like, yeah, that's the type of guy you love.
I will say, looking through the the Flames stats before we talk to Conroy, plus minus, people think whatever they think about it, and it depends on who you play, and the top lines often play tougher competition, but you go through that team, pretty much everyone's a plus. Matt Coronado is +7. A lot of guys at the top pluses. Kadri's -10. He's just a random -10. You got Sharon Govich at -7, then only a couple other guys are even minuses at all. That's strange to me. That stands out as some sort of, he's a good defensive player. You know,
Yeah.
10 points in 19 games. That's not he's having a rocky start.
Getting, like you mentioned, the top minutes, probably playing against every team's top line.
They're not that great a team.
Yeah.
And he's playing the top lines, and he's the top defensive center.
Yeah.
So he's probably eating a crab sandwich most nights for his competition.
Absolutely.
The only thing that continues to sting, and not to harp, but Jonathan Huberdeau cannot ever find the magic that he had in Florida, on pace, I think, for 25 goals and maybe 40 points.
Oh my
But this is a guy
Who signed that contract?
that's 10 and a half large, and I don't know how you get around that.
He only makes it for a couple more seasons, right?
Is it 2 more?
Oh my God, I think it's
what
like
is it? No,
7 more.
seriously, what is it?
He makes it until 2030.
10
Oh,
and a half.
2031.
gosh.
2031.
10 and a half?
Yeah, he makes 10 and a half for 6 more seasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more seasons.
How do you get around that?
You don't. You pay him
No one's
10 and a half
taking
million.
it.
You pay him 10 and a half
You just
million.
hope he's effective enough that you're
Like, even
the
if
gap
they
between
ate
his pay and his-
50% of it, I'm not sure anybody would want him for 5.25.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Like, but you're right. I get your point. Like, I don't love him at 7. Like 5.25, I do it for sure. But he's
Would you?
yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do
No.
6 goals, 4
I don't know.
assists, 10
It all
points.
depends on my team.
He's playing 18.
He also,
He's playing 18 minutes a night.
like, it's remarkable. That Florida, that you have outlier seasons in guys' careers,
Yeah.
but that's like
Has anyone ever had
30 goals, 85 assists, 115 points in 80 games for him that year. And then
in 85? Yeah.
and then it's gone.
He had a
50.
92-point
Yeah.
season though.
Yeah.
But they were just
Dash
that year, that 115 year. I mean,
Was it him, Barkov?
yeah,
and-
they were just freewheeling.
Yeah.
All over the ice.
It's unbelievable.
a massive.
And then he went 15 and 40, 12 and 40 for goals and assists. It's like, eish.
And he played the same amount of games. The drop from 115 to 55 is got to be unprecedented for a guy who was healthy both years.
But I do, whenever I watch the Flames, Kuzmenko does jump out to me. He can
I thought you were
play.
going to say he's on the ice. Yeah.
No.
What is out there?
Kuzmenko jumps out to me. He can play. I love that Blake Coleman. That's a guy that a lot of teams would love to have around playoff time. But
Everything's going right.
Coleman's valuable to them. Yes, every team. He's won Stanley Cups. We know what a third line does for a Stanley Cup championship team.
how long is he under contract for, Blake
This
Coleman?
year and 2 more at 4.9.
He's the exact
32
guy
years old.
that you want in your bottom 6.
Yeah.
Not at 4.9 though. So much money. Well, you'd have to retain there.
I don't
right?
know.
What's he got left?
This and 2 more.
2 more.
Yeah.
Age 33 and 34.
But if I'm Conroy, like, I think the guy that you have on your two guys on your team right now, and Huberdeau, but like you can guarantee will be there when you're competing for a cup would probably be Rasmus Anderson, Dustin Wolf. Like, who else is on that
Huberdeau's
list?
going to be there.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
But outside of him, who else is on that list? Kadri, I guess, is there for a long
How
time.
much you like Zari and
Yeah. Those
Coronado
guys,
and
for
those
sure.
guys.
I just, I would be very, very, very open for business on anyone other than like my young studs with them, right?
Well, Anderson and Kadri would fetch you a boatload.
Do you think Kadri's tradable?
Oh,
7 mil?
100%.
This year plus 4 more seasons.
yeah.
And
I
he's
think-
34.
Even if you got Calgary to eat $1 million, $1.5 million, if you start talking about serious assets
Yeah.
like first rounders and blue chip prospects,
Yeah.
this is the guy that could get half a dozen teams over the hump for Stanley Cup.
You think he would fetch assets like that?
Yeah, I do.
I just don't.
I
like
think
that
he's
contract.
he's one of the most competitive guys.
I love the player.
He knows how to win.
Yeah, he's competitive. It's so
I
funny.
think he can fetch.
Covering the Leafs and being like, God, that just sounds like a good third line center for the Leafs, doesn't it? And it's like,
And you would take him at 5.5.
they traded him at 4.5.
Right?
For what again?
Barry and Kerfoot. Ouch. Yeah, Kip. Oh, you see that as a potential Leaf option?
I see that for half a dozen teams, an option.
Yeah.
If you can get Calgary to eat just a little bit and give them something that really excites them, you have to think about it. Like the window, again, Calgary's scenario is really about getting to the new building.
2027.
You want to peak.
Yeah.
When you get into that new building and you start jacking up those prices, you want a competitive team then.
Can I tell you what I'd be doing if I was Conroy then? I think you need to start moving pieces now. You're too good. You need a top guy. You need to pick in the top 5 next year.
Yeah, you got to get Gavin
This year.
McKenna on your team. That's what you got to do. Like,
You-
you need like the top stud.
And right now, you just keep winning. You're like, God, we're going to finish
Stop!
19th.
Stop it, guys.
We finished 19th. It does not help the plan.
No. Anyways,
I hate that system that
It's a bad
rewards
system.
you for
Terrible.
tanking, for
Encourages teams to try to
purposely
lose.
losing.
fix it then.
It just sucks.
Fix it.
Kip shit.
Yeah. What's the fix?
Gold system.
Gold system?
Reward people for points after they've been mathematically eliminated from playoffs, and they can declare themselves out.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're trying to win every game. The more points you get after you're out, and the bad teams are out first, right? So they're more.
Yeah.
That gives them a little bit of an edge to get there.
But that's gonna incentivize guys on that team. They're gonna be like, oh, let's play hard when they're
Great point.
third last
Problem
in the
is,
league.
jobs are
in
tough to come by, and if
in
you're not
mid
playing
March,
hard,
they're like, God, I got to play hard for what?
I just can't see a ton of guys not trying to win.
I mean, that's the league. It's a good league. Everybody's trying.
I got no answer right now.
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, I was all.
I think that's-
that's not even close to my idea.
But I think that's the best,
Yeah.
probably option that you have. Anyways, game time, boys.
yes.
Right. Let me get my sheet here. It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So you mentioned that the Toronto Maple Leafs would be huge underdogs tonight.
Yes.
You would be wrong. The Vegas Golden Knights and Toronto Maple Leafs are both minus 110 on both sides of the ledger here.
Oh, smash that Vegas.
Listen, I don't tell you how to spend your money, but Leafs have surprised us in the past, but this would be a really surprising one. It seems like excellent value for a deep Vegas team that's coming in here playing well. Give me a little bit of the Vegas money line with
Great
that number. Looking at the goal scoring, if you want to bet on, they don't have it up. I was going to say bet on a Grabankin goal, but they don't have it up. So I'm not going to say just for a first career game.
Okay.
This is rare. You don't see this very often. The Dallas Stars home to the San Jose Sharks are a minus 525 favorite on the money
never
line.
get into the fives
Yeah, the San Jose Sharks plus 390. My Sharkies.
for a simple win. That means you could probably get the Sharks plus a goal and a half and still get plus money.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a big one for you. The other games tonight aren't exactly the most inspiring. The Nashville Predators in Seattle to take on the Kraken. Nashville big favorites there, minus 140. And the late one on Sportsnet, the Buffalo Sabres are in LA to take on the Kings. An elite jersey matchup, if I do say so myself. The Buffalo Sabres are plus 150, LA Kings minus 180 in that one.
2 cents on the Buffalo Sabres. They're not dead. They're not dead yet in the Atlantic Division. 5 teams are currently below 500 in the Atlantic. To get up to that 4th spot, they need like a win.
What? The Sens, man.
Sens, come on, Sens.
we gotta talk about it.
As of yesterday, the Boston Bruins still had a playoff spot too.
At a .475
Right.
winning percentage, minus 21 goal differential.
Remember when I said this was the best division in all of sports beside the AL East?
Yeah.
May have been wrong on that one. Anyways, that was game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, we'll pick up a little bit on that theme that you just left us and what's going on in Ottawa. They looked so good last week against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and now it's like, who are they?
They've stunk since.
November is their kryptonite.
Also, we'll follow up a little bit on the question mark still in Vancouver around JT Miller and what it means to the Vancouver Canucks.
Maybe a little Demko sound from today.
Ooh.
Got plenty more. Don't go away. It's a Real Kipper and Bourne show. Little bit of news and notes. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kipper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Sammy, what is with the Ottawa Senators and the month of November?
Sorry, I was just doing some producing as well as actually talking on the show because I am the producer.
What you do it all?
Yeah, do it all. What's the saying? Master of few. Jack of all trades.
nothing.
Yeah, jack of all trades, master of few. I don't know what the hell the saying is. I can't even. Now Derek's buzzing in my ear. What's he talking about? He's the same thing. Anyways, listen to this record. This is from the piece on Sportsnet.ca last night. 12, 29, and 2 in November since 21-22.
Wow. Tough to be competitive in the standings doing
29 and 2. Like, listen, the Leafs record in November over the past few years, I asked Sportsnet Stats to fire it on. They haven't fired it along to me yet, but I'll say it's very good. Mm-hmm. And to have heartbreak in April, you have to play well in November. And that's where the Leafs are at. The Leafs always play great in November, and the Sens, it kills them. That puts you right underwater.
Talking to my buddy, he's a Sens fan, I was saying, like, at least you're going to get to enjoy this full season, like a chase for the playoffs. The Bruins are no good. The door is open. You're going to be in that mix. And it's like, just grab it. Just
do it.
Yeah, get some goaltending. One of the things in that article by Alex Adams on Sportsnet, you're welcome, is that they give up goals in bunches. 6 times this year, they've given up 2 goals, kind of within a couple minutes of each other or closer. Just Brady Tkachuk called them immature. Maybe immature, he said.
You watch the way they played against the Leafs on that Tuesday night last week.
They can do it. They can do it.
It was unbelievable.
That's the part that probably is pulling Travis Green's hair out right now, is that you can look like that and then be at home last night. I get they're the Stanley Cup finalists, but they're still on a back-to-back. Yeah. And as Travis Green said, not a lot of energy, not sharp with execution. Like
flat.
Like, why?
It's a great question, but I don't know.
That I do not know.
Like,
go ahead.
What would you change? Tkachuk, Stützle, Batherson, Norris, like Ridley Gregg, all like top picks.
Yeah.
Like, is the mix not right now? Is the chemistry not right? These are top quality young players.
Yeah. It's funny, like you can see that they recognize the thing that I think when I see this team. They don't feel like a particularly gritty, tough group. And the bottom 6 they've added, it's, McEwen and Nick Cousins and Amadio and David Perron. Like they're trying to surround these guys with those guys with an edge. And Norris is a guy who can, he finishes checks and all that. But and obviously Brady Tkachuk too. But it just feels like they're missing a little something. They're missing a piece or two. Tons of talent on the back end with Sanderson, Shabbat.
Can I give you Linus Ullmark's numbers in 10 games started this year?
I think we have the answer, folks.
A 299 goals against and an 884 save percentage, boys.
All but
10 games started.
He's not, I think, produced a 900 save percentage.
That's tough. Yeah, it's tough to win when your goalie's having a tough time. But, going into this year, we had Valaket on saying in a different environment, he's not as sure he'd be able to thrive. It's very possible that he finds it, but so far he hasn't found it. And it's just like, what would you call him? Higher paid Korpisalo?
Yeah, I said it earlier this year, and I'll say it again. They traded Korpisalo and then signed new Korpisalo for double the price.
Stuff.
Sorry, Sens fans, if you're listening, but it's not great.
Tomorrow night, they're going to welcome in Vegas.
Back-to-back.
Another situation with coming out of Toronto, like Edmonton last night, where they faced them. You have to go back to Allmer.
Allmark, yeah.
Allmark, sorry. Yeah. Allmark tomorrow night. You have to. You have to.
You to figure this out.
And quickly.
Yeah.
Well, you can't bench him. Like you made a big signing. You paid him all this money. You got to keep running him out there.
Like, what's the most games he's played in a year? It is another thing if you're saying now you're going to play 60 or something. I agree that you got to keep running him out.
And then Saturday, Allmark again against Vancouver.
Just keep hitting the button.
Just keep hitting it.
Hitting the Allmark button until he finds
Allmark.
Allmark, 8.25. Allmark, 8.25. Allmark.
884
I hope
is.
they figure it out because they can make the playoffs.
What's
this
that?
year.
884 is.
Don't talk about
shocking.
playoffs.
Like shockingly bad.
But I will say, overall, like when I look at my fancy sport logic charts, they don't produce as much as you'd like them to offensively, and they give up more than you'd like to defensively. It's not just, they're not like this flawless team. Like the Oilers look amazing by the fancy stats, and they just can't get saves. The Sens don't look amazing by the fancy stats.
Yeah, his job's to make sure his salary doesn't match his save percentage.
825.
825.
He's heading in the wrong direction for that. I will say, good win for the Oilers. They second half of back-to-back. We talked about it yesterday in game time. They needed it, and they went in there and looked like a team that could go to the final. It was unbelievable.
Who did Bouchard undress? Was that Shabbat?
Yeah.
Shabbat, yeah.
Oof.
That was the old no move where you're like, I'm going to do something with it. Nah, we're just past you.
It's just Connor could score. Like the year he just scored 60 just because he wanted to. You see him last night, just fires it top shelf.
Yeah.
Goal. It's like, what?
Do that.
Why do you do that all the time?
He's like, I'll just get 100 assists.
Yeah.
All right.
Are we expecting Demko to play this weekend?
I don't know, boys. I listened to, because during the break there, I was grabbing some of the audio because he spoke today.
Oh, good.
So this is, okay, so Derek, if you get to clip 1 for me, I'll explain it. He was asked if he's ready to let himself think that he's going to start was the way the question was worded. So play clip 1 for us, Derek.
No, not yet. I mean, I'm a day-to-day guy. I think you have to be. Admittedly, through the process, I slipped into the future-seeking mindset, and it never really ended up too well for me. So just sticking with it day by day, and I definitely know that I'll be playing here. I can't give you a timeline yet, but I'll definitely be back, and just enjoying being where I'm at today, and keep making progress tomorrow.
I didn't like how quickly he came out at the beginning of that comment with no, not yet.
Yeah, no,
not yet.
He was not close. Yeah.
Were you I listened to that here? I was surprised by the tone of it. Where
I'm with you.
Where we thought, because remember we were mentioning it before the show yesterday, and I'd been texting with Valley about him maybe starting last night against the Rangers, and you listen to that.
I would have preferred. I'm close. I'm real excited. I can't wait. Just waiting to get the nod or waiting for the right time.
You can tell it's been hard on him, though. Like, you can hear someone who has worked with a sports psychologist when he's like, I've fallen into the future-seeking mindset, and it's not like,
Future-seeking mindset?
That's something a psychologist says, for sure, which is great. I'm sure he's got to get it right.
I got the sense, I don't know what I'm going to come back to.
Right. I can't put myself somewhere that's going to make this even harder for me, so I'm just going to try to exist in the moment.
And there's a second
24 hours at a time.
There's a second clip which includes the question, which kind of alludes to what we've been talking about on our show in terms of pain management and what he's going to be going. So play the clip 2 there, Derek.
And to get to this point, was it just you had to sort of learn to manage how it feels? Is it just?
No, we had to use different modalities to get the function up. It wasn't an adaptation of my style of play, and I knew it wouldn't be. Shortly after Penticton, we really nailed down what the issue was specifically, which was nice to finally kind of understand what was going on, and that gave us a clear picture of different options that we had moving forward. And it was kind of just trial and error at that point, and we ended up finding something that worked really well for me.
Penticton.
That's positive.
Penticton is beautiful.
Thank you.
I love Penticton.
I got something out of that.
Right
Yeah.
What
Progress.
did you take from that?
That they know exactly what it is, and it's manageable, and they've got a game plan, and we're clear-minded on the issues, which is far better than we don't know what the hell's going on.
Good.
Listening to those clips, not your typical grunt athlete,
I was gonna
Demko.
say, I literally waiting to say I got modalities, adaptation, and functionality out of that. I got a college kid. That's what I heard a kid who went to class.
Yeah.
But that's great that, if they can at least pin that down, because it has felt, here in Toronto, everyone's pulling out their hair over Matthews and the uncertainty. It's felt a little bit like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of leads us to JT Miller, because this is like the second what is happening scenario for the Vancouver Canucks. And I think it's safe to say that we don't expect him back anytime soon.
No, okay.
I don't know. You think that's safe to say? I don't know.
I don't think you leave for personal reasons and
For
then
a-
come back
a week.
4 days later. Yeah.
You're right.
And that's 4 days later, 5 days later, maybe a week. But right now, he's on like a day-to-day injury type of scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like his salary's still on the books,
Yeah.
the cap.
Yeah.
Right? They're not getting any relief off of his salary cap. And when you go on a long-term IR, then you do.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're just leaving a hole in your salary cap by being gone. My point in all of this is if there's an extended period of time that he's out, they're going to they're going to need or want some of that relief. And to my knowledge, it only comes when there's something definitive going on, i.e. like mental health break through the NHLPA program.
Yeah. So you couldn't get cap relief for a personal leave without
No.
some sort of
or else
player
everybody
assistance.
would do
But
it.
we know he's not.
But everybody would do it, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, yeah. Okay,
I see your
go.
point. Yeah, you could just say, hey, we're
So-
looking for some cap relief here. And, yeah,
So-
I see.
Can we expect, if it is a mental break that he needs,
Yeah.
that the NHLPA would eventually say it? They put him retroactive on long-term IR, which players do once they're in any type of program, and then you can move on.
Yeah.
But right now, it's like he can't go day to day and be out for 2 or 3 weeks and think that the Vancouver Canucks are okay leaving his salary on the books.
I don't know about that. I understand you would like to have the cap relief if you're going to use it, but if they know, which they do, they're going to wait for him to come back.
If it's a week, sure. But
even
if it's longer,
even if it's 2 months, Kip, don't you? They're going to fold their hands and wait for him to come back.
no, they are going to wait for him to come back. But I'm saying that this is a team that could probably use the long-term IR relief that it puts on your cap.
Yeah. So, do you expect that we will hear something in the next week that
I think
clarifies this?
I think there's still a possibility, and we're all just speculating here. I have no knowledge on what is going on, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's still some type of announcement coming through the NHL Players Association if, in fact, he does need some type of break.
Yep. Okay. So we'll await that. Keep our ears and eyes. Wish him the best while we kind of await to see what develops there.
Gotta say, boys, really impressive win for the Jets last night.
Yeah, after getting thumped by Florida in Florida. By the way, Florida has, I want to say, 6 or 7 of these back-to-back sets this year, maybe even more.
It was a good game, and I did watch enough what I said. Maybe a Stanley Cup final right there.
Oh, you think the Jets are?
Oh, no, I saw playoff type of intensity last night.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
There's lots of and Scheifele is a guy who's, really elevated his game. He is now, I would say, firmly a Team Canada guy?
On our website, Jacob Stoller, Jets Mark Scheifele belongs on Team Canada at Four Nations Faceoff. As the headline, it was the front page on our website. I agree.
Okay.
How could you not?
He's on mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, hat trick last night. Nice goals.
See, for me, he almost would kind of be that like he could play a role like John Tavares did in Vancouver in 2010, where it's like we know in the island you were the number one centerman for them, but we need you to come in here and play left wing on a third line.
Tons of guys score for us. We need you to be all around great and not make that your number one
Scheifele
focus.
could play that role.
Yeah, I think
Depth
so too.
guy.
And he was a World Juniors guy for Canada.
He's got
won the
pedigree.
jersey.
You need some meat, real meat, to go up against those Kachuk brothers. You need
Are you talking
something.
about Wilson or Hyman or who?
Somebody.
You want Wilson?
Somebody.
If I had to,
I'm more convinced now than ever that those two together will be nothing but trouble.
The Bash brothers. I do
Those
think
two
you
guys
can't
on a
build your
line-
lineup thinking about,
I mean, you probably could consider it.
Oh, no.
was Tom Wilson going to go out there and beat them both up? Like, him sitting on the bench while Matthew
I don't.
Tkachuk plays 22
There's no
minutes.
physical. There's no beat. Drop.
Good
there's
point
no,
too, Borny.
I'm not
Playoff
expecting
series, guys.
dropping gloves beat up, but I'm just talking about like fight fire with fire.
I'd rather fight fire and play in their end. I get your point, though, Kip.
There's going
they're
to
gonna be
you know,
scary.
I worry about the way Matthews' perception would be in this city with him playing well for USA. Imagine what you're listening to
What
Ottawa.
does that mean?
Like, it's just that he's going to go play well for America and he's going to have a
And
big moment
that's gonna
against
make
Canada.
You hate him?
Well, no, but it's
What?
different. If Austin Matthews was Canadian, and as a Canadian hockey fan, I would love him that much more. And like him as an American playing against Canada, that sucks. But can you imagine defending Brady Tkachuk as an Ottawa fan? Like he's a way worse type of guy to have to cheer for after the way he's going to act wearing a USA sweater. There's no comparison. There's no comparison.
I mean, that U.S.
They're gonna
team-
hate him for 2 weeks, and then they're gonna love him
Yeah, maybe.
the next day when he
right.
returns.
Could you put the Tkachuks on Matthews' wings? Let them both play wing. Put Quinn Hughes and maybe
Listen,
like
Austin
McAvoy
Matthews,
or
he's not
Staven.
playing the Four Nations face-off. He's playing for Germany at the
Can you
Euros.
just relax.
No.
and take a chill.
Everything's
pill?
fine.
Ever.
Like just like Brad
Everything's
said.
great.
He flew to Germany because his back feels totally great.
Yeah, it seems unlikely, doesn't it?
Be playing next week,
Um,
you will have worried for nothing.
So
Anyways.
Sportsnet is set to broadcast the Four Nations Face-Off roster reveal on December 4th. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Sweden and Finland's rosters will be revealed earlier in the day, and then you'll get to see Canada and the United States reveal their squads.
So before that, at some point, fellas, we're gonna have to put together ours, right? You're gonna have to go through it.
Is Marner on yours?
Of course. He's probably gonna play on the top line. That'll help his contract
I
negotiations.
actually had him with McDavid.
Yeah. I like him. I like
McKinnon.
Sid.
I like any of them together. I truly like.
That's a
Sid.
smart line.
Yeah, I like any of them together. I just think their forward group's going to be unbelievable, and it's going to be cool to see it. Like, I'm really excited. I know you guys don't think.
Buddy, I'm excited. I just want the Canada's goalie to stop a couple pucks.
I'm
That's all.
just looking forward to taking 2 weeks off during it.
You're going to be in the
Cabo?
Cayman Islands somewhere.
We don't have to work during that, do we?
You got to talk to some people if you don't want to.
Okay,
I've got it in my deal. I don't have to work during it.
our
What do you
beloved
guys
boss,
got?
Ryan Fabro, is in Mexico right now. Right now would be the perfect time to call him and ask.
Yeah.
Because it's
Couple
about,
dacqueries in.
the afternoon.
take
It's at
what
the
you need,
pool.
Kip.
He's way smarter than us right now.
Perfect time to call him.
All right, we got Leafs Vegas tonight.
Give us a score.
Vegas 6, Leafs 2.
4-2 Vegas will be my pick
Canadian
tonight.
teams. Let's see what's going on. No other
No,
Canadian teams.
just
Nashville at Seattle. What do you like? Nashville coming on?
I like my
Another
bed.
sport.
I like my bed.
Sorry.
You do?
That was harsh. Sabres Kings, I'll watch it.
Our thanks to Jesse Granger in the first hour and Craig Conroy, general manager of the Calgary Flames. Enjoy your Wednesday night. We're back tomorrow on Real Kyper and Bourne. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.